Well, I think none of us want to be poor, none of us want to be miserable or ill. We want good health, we want stability in our lives, we want peace, we want prosperity. We want to live in a world where we can bring up children and grandchildren to have a better hope than we do. That's universal. If you are talking about financial services and banking, there's no Asian banking as opposed to European banking or American banking. Banking is banking. And if a bank is sound, it is sound. If it's unsound, whether you're in Asia or Europe or America, the numbers don't add up, you're unsound. I mean, some of these things are universal. The laws of science are universal. But when it comes to human affairs, how do people see themselves as members of a community, of a society? How does a nation define itself? How do you want to organize your affairs? How do you want to govern yourself? I don't think there's any one solution. In fact, it's not so clear that anywhere in the world there is a solution which is working very well for any of the countries. Each of the countries has its own difficulties. The Americans consider their political system to be facing a very grave test now because of the deep divisions between the Democrats and the Republicans and the strong populist reaction towards the intellectuals and the policy intelligentsia and those who are affluent and privileged. The Europeans also have a similar reaction towards immigration, towards openness, reaction even towards greater integration into the European community, to become a European identity rather than a national identity. So, and their elections are showing all sorts of quite surprising outcomes, the Italian one being the most recent. And you are unable to form governments for months after the elections because it's not that the politicians cannot agree, but the voters have not been able to form a consensus which direction the country wants to go. So China has a different model. Singapore has our own model. We are different from the West. We are different from China. China has its own formula. You have to find or rather, China has its own circumstances. And you have to feel your way forward because there's no precedent in the world for 1,400 million people to live stably and peacefully and in a way which can be sustained from one generation of leaders and population to the next generation. How do you do that? In the old days, you have a Huangdi, and then it lasts for a few hundred years, and then somebody will come along, and the system breaks down, and you start a new dynasty. But that doesn't work anymore. So you have to find your own way forward, and I think that's what they're trying to do. I do not underestimate the difficulty of the challenge.